October 1962, an American spy plane flying over Cuba captures something alarming. Long launch pads, missile silos, and Soviet nuclear weapon capable of striking the mainland United States. Within minutes, the photographs reached the desk of the then United States President John F. Kennedy. What he sees is shocking. The Soviet Union has secretly placed nuclear weapons just 150 kilometers from the mainland United States. For the next 13 days, the world stands on the edge of a nuclear war. This is the story of the closest humanity has ever come to self-destruction. Let's understand the story of Cuban Missile Crisis in this episode of Date This Side. To understand this concept, we need to go back to the Civil War. After World War II, two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. Both possessed heavy nuclear arsenals. But the war between them was not just military, it was ideological. United States represented the idea of democracy and capitalism, whereas Soviet promoted the idea of communism. Each side tried to expand its influence across the world, and one small island would become the center of this confrontation. That island was Cuba. In 1959, a revolutionary leader named Fidel Castro overthrew the Cuban government. Soon after coming into power, Castro aligned himself with the Soviet Union. This alarmed Washington. Cuba lies just 90 miles from the American coastline. The United States feared that communism was spreading into its own backyard. In 1961, the United States attempted to overthrow Castro by a failed invasion called the Bay of Pigs invasion. That invasion failed badly, but it pushed Cuba closer to the Soviet Union. The Soviet leader at that time was Nikita Khrushchev. He saw an opportunity. At that moment, the United States had stationed its nuclear missiles in Turkey and Italy, both close to Soviet Union. Khrushchev believed that placing nuclear missile in Cuba would protect Cuba from US invasion, balance American missiles near the Soviet borders, and dramatically increase Soviet nuclear leverage. So secretly, the Soviet Union began shipping nuclear missiles to Cuba. Thousands of Soviet troops and technicians arrived on the island, but soon the United States discovered the plan. On October 14, 1962, an American U-2 reconnaissance aircraft flew over Cuba. The photographs it captured confirmed the worst fears. The Soviet Union was building nuclear missile bases in Cuba. These missiles could reach cities like Washington, New York, Chicago within minutes. President John F. Kennedy now faced an extremely dangerous choice. Do nothing and allow the missiles to remain, or take action and risk nuclear war. Kennedy formed a secret group of advisors called the ExComm to decide what to do. Several options were discussed. Some generals wanted a full-scale invasion. Others wanted an immediate airstrike on Cuba. But Kennedy feared that these options would trigger war with the Soviet Union. Instead, he chose a third option, a naval blockade of Cuba. Several American warships were sent to surround the island so that they could stop Soviet ships carrying the missiles. On October 22, Kennedy addressed the nation. He said that any attack from Cuba would be considered an attack by the Soviet Union itself. The world held its breath. Soviet ships were now carrying missiles towards the American blockade. If they crossed the line, war could begin. For several days, tensions escalated. American forces were placed on DEFCON 2, the highest level of nuclear alert ever reached. Both the sides prepared for a possible nuclear war. At one point of time, a Soviet submarine near Cuba was forced to launch a nuclear torpedo after being surrounded by the American Navy. Only the refusal of a Soviet officer prevented the launch. Behind the scenes, there were intense negotiations going on. Finally, Khrushchev sent a message to Kennedy. Soviet Union will remove its nuclear missiles from Cuba only if the United States agreed not to invade Cuba. There was also a secret agreement, and based on that, the United States would quietly remove its nuclear missiles from Turkey. On October 28, 1962, the Soviet Union finally agreed to dismantle its missile bases in Cuba. The crisis was over. The world had come terrifyingly close to a nuclear war. And both the superpowers realized how dangerous their rivalry had become. Soon after the crisis, the United States and the Soviet Union established a direct hotline between Washington and Moscow to prevent any future misunderstandings. The Cuban Missile Crisis changed the Cold War forever. It demonstrated how quickly geopolitical rivalry could escalate towards global catastrophe. It also introduced a terrifying concept that still shapes the international relations today: mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The idea that if nuclear war begins, both the sides will be completely destroyed. And that fear maybe is the only thing that is preventing another global catastrophe. For 13 days in October 1962, the fate of humanity hung by a thread. One wrong decision, one misunderstood order, one nuclear launch, and the world we know today might not have existed. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you enjoy watching our videos, please do subscribe to the channel, because we are going to break down geopolitics and economics in a way that makes sense for all of us. See you in the next one soon. Till then, stay happy, stay diplomatic. This is Dev this side signing off. Peace.